Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today, we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. This story starts off in 2015 when my wife, Maria, and I were both 44 and 45. Until this point, we were both happily married for 18 years with two amazing sons. We were both very much in love, at least I thought. Our sex life wasn't brilliant, but we had other ways of showing affection, and we had also never had any rough periods in our marriage at all. I myself am self-employed as a plumber, and I've been doing this business since around 2009-10. At the time, Maria was a pharmacist. And we were both going strong in our careers and were both earning a decent amount. One night when our sons were in bed, me and Maria were downstairs, and we decided to watch a film together on Netflix. We started watching this film about how a poor girl who had been in poverty her whole life then joined an escorting agency. This girl mentioned in the film how she was earning around $1,000 per client. When the girl said this, Maria's response was, "There's me spending hours a day in a pharmacy earning the same amount a year as she does in a month, eh?" When she said this, I didn't think anything of it and just replied, "Yeah, eh." After that, we enjoyed the film, and once it ended, we went to sleep. After that evening, our lives were completely normal until about 1 month later. It was just another usual work day, and I came home at around 3 p.m. after finishing a job I had and picking up the kids from school, who were both 7, and at around 5 p.m. I got a text from Maria saying that she was going for a drink with her friend after work for a while to catch up, which I said was fine, so I fed the kids and put them to sleep. I was just watching football on TV and hadn't even realized the time when my wife came home at around 8 p.m. I presumed she must have just been having a good time with her friend, so I didn't question her about anything apart from asking her how it went. Straight after that, though, she went up and had a shower, which was strange, as ever since we met, she has always been a morning shower person. I didn't think anything of this, so later on we both went to sleep as usual. Fast forward to the weekend. Maria said she was going out to the town center for shopping as she hadn't been in ages. I offered to drop her off, but she politely said she would take her car, so she went and I stayed home and did household jobs. Maria had been gone for 4 hours, and I hadn't heard from her, so I rang her up to see when she was going to be back, but she didn't answer. So I texted her asking when she'd be back. She didn't read it, so I then waited roughly half an hour and called her again, and she didn't pick up. At this point, I started to get a bit worried. I kept ringing her again and again for around 45 minutes, but she didn't pick up. Then, eventually, after being out for a total of 7 hours, she rang me up and said she was really, really sorry that she hadn't answered. She claimed that her phone was out of power and she had to find and sit somewhere for it to charge. I believed her and forgave her, and when she came home, we hugged and said the usual "I love you" to each other. Maria then went to the shower. At this point, I still hadn't suspected a single thing. I suspected nothing of her for a whole 3 months after that, and life then went on. During these 3 months, there were a few occasions when she would meet up with a friend, and I just let her go. Then there were also a few times where she would work late, and she would say she's at the pharmacy till the shop closes or something like that, and I would believe her. She also started working a lot more frequently on Sundays. She did this sometimes anyway, but during this time period she was doing it a lot more than usual. I also continued working like normal throughout this time. Then one Friday, Maria came home from the pharmacy and said that she had been invited to spend the night at her friend's house. I thought this was a little weird as this friend she was staying at usually met with Maria a lot of the time anyway, so I wondered why Maria wanted to stay over at her house all of a sudden, so I just agreed with her and offered to drop her off, but she said she'd just drive. So after she went that evening, it was just me and the boys. They were just playing on their own, and I was getting a little bored. So then I decided that I could ask Maria's friend's husband, Dean, if he wanted to come over for a pint, as we were quite good friends. I then proceeded to ring Dean up and I asked him, "While the ladies gossip at your house, do you want to come over to mine for a pint?" He just replied, "What do you mean?" My wife is at home only with me, eh?" It was at that moment that my heart dropped. I then asked him if he was just joking or if he was being dead serious. I could even hear his wife in the background saying it was only them two at a time. I then ended the phone and just stood up and thought for a moment. I decided to call Maria, but she didn't reply. I called her 3 more times after that, but she didn't answer. I also texted her about 10 times, asking if she was okay, and she didn't reply. I then put the kids to bed and was considering calling the police until I got a call from Maria saying that she was very sorry for making you worry so much. she said over the phone that she meant she was going to see her other friend and said the wrong name by accident and didn't answer the phone as they went for dinner. I then felt really relieved, but I told her to keep her phone on. After saying goodnight to her, I went to sleep myself and kept thinking to myself, at least she's alright, eh? But one thing kept troubling me: why was she at dinner for such a long time? I then stopped thinking and went to sleep. Then the next day, at around 1 p.m., Maria arrived home and she acted completely normal. I asked her how it was, and all she told me was that she and her friend just relaxed, chatted, and had a meal. We then went on as usual for a week until I got home one day and the postman came to deliver a parcel to our house, which was addressed to Maria. She hardly ever orders things, so I waited until she came home to give it to her. She said, "Yo, that must be my new phone, eh?" When she said that, my jaw dropped and I answered, "But you already got a new phone a few months ago, which I got you?" She then says, "Go yeah, but I wanted a bigger one, so I bought myself a new one." Despite feeling a little down and confused about why she bought a new phone, an iPhone 6 Plus at the time, I let it be. Fast forward 2 days later, and she comes home from work with a brand new hair curler and hair dryer, which she bought after work. And they were a really expensive brand too. I asked her, why is she spending and essentially wasting so much money on things she already has? Her reply was, "Yo, I never buy myself nice new things, so I thought I would treat myself." This wasn't like her, but I just let it go again. Although it was bothering me, bearing in mind that her birthday was in 6 weeks, I could have gotten her the gifts. Fast forward about another week. We were just sitting at our dinner table with the boys chatting as usual as we ate when I saw Maria wearing a brand new, spanking clean Pandora bracelet with a few fancy gems on it. I asked her when she got it, and she said, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I bought a new bracelet, do you like it?" I responded, "It's lovely, but why are you spending so much money all of a sudden on things that aren't necessary? It's your birthday in just over a month." This clearly bothered her, so I was questioning her, and she said to me in a slightly angry voice, "Come on, I never buy myself things, and I just really wanted them, and for my birthday, I don't want any gifts from you, all I want is to spend time with you." After this, we ate in silence as we didn't want to argue in front of the kids. However, that had made me reach a tipping point and I did have a strange feeling in my head. Before we went to sleep that night, I said to Maria, "I'm really glad that you're buying these lovely things and enjoying them, but please be careful with what you spend." She then said, "Sorry, and she'll be careful from now on." After that, we kissed and went to sleep. That feeling in my head had calmed down now, but I still had questions. Where is she getting this spare money from? 3 more weeks pass, 2 and 3 days actually, and one Saturday night Maria says she's going out with her boss, who is a woman, and another colleague, who is also a woman, for a drink at a bar. I spent the next few hours at home with the kids. Then here's where things get very interesting. At around 9 p.m., I get a phone call from one of my friends who I haven't spoken to for a few weeks, so I wonder why he was calling. I picked up the phone, and he tells me that he is at a pub and has seen my wife sit with a man about the same age as me, that she is dressed up in a very revealing dress, and that he saw Maria and the man kiss a few times. When he said that, my heart dropped and I was silent for a good 10 seconds. I replied, "Excuse me?" He says, "Mate, I'm being serious. I was just walking back from the bathroom and saw them sitting together at a table. I haven't said anything to them." When he said this, I thought he was just making it up, so I asked him to send a picture, but at the same time, I was thinking, how do I know if she really went with her work colleagues? My friend then sent me a picture. It was a bit far away, as he didn't want to get caught taking the picture, but I zoomed in on it, and my jaw dropped and my heart sank. That woman was definitely Maria. She was sitting with another man, and she was wearing such a low-cut dress that almost her entire 2 breasts were sticking out in the open. I didn't even know she had a dress like that. But that wasn't on my mind. I started shaking and almost tearing up. I asked my friend to tell me the address of the pub they were at, so I ran to the car, leaving the boys at home, and drove half an hour as fast as possible to the pub. I parked up and my friend was waiting outside for me. We both went in quickly and pointed me towards Maria. I then looked at where he was pointing and completely froze. There she was, my wife of 18 years, sitting there laughing and giggling with a random man. All I could think of at this time in my head was, oh my gosh, she is cheating on me. She was wearing beautiful makeup, she never looked like that with me, her new Pandora, red heels, and a dress, which certainly gave the world a brilliant view of her very large breasts. Maria was the best-dressed person in the whole bar. I just stood there staring at her. I then walked up to her and rubbed her shoulder. Maria turned and looked at me, and her face went from all happy and smiley to a face of horror. I said, Maria, what on earth are you doing here? And who is this man? She stands up, puts her hands on my arms, and says, honey, it's just a work colleague meeting, don't raise your voice, eh? After she said that, I then said, are you wearing a dress like that? Not a chance, you are coming with me. So I picked her bag up and started walking out of the bar, with Maria following me as she talked some random gibberish. During this time, the guy she was with was completely silent. We both sat in the car, and Maria instantly burst out crying and sobbing. In a calm voice, I say to her, now, please tell me, Maria, who that man was. And how long has this been going on between you two? Still sobbing her eyes out, she's replied, no, we don't have a relationship, and we are not dating, this was our first time meeting. I say, then who was he? And why are you wearing such a sexy dress? Maria then goes on to tell me that for the past few months she has been working for a high-class escorting agency and that she quit her job as a pharmacist then too. All those times she has been coming home late, meeting a friend, she was really spending the time with a client. All the hours during the day I was made to believe she spent at the pharmacy, she was really with clients all that time. She claimed that she just earned so much money from the first week of doing it that she quit her real job and did escorting full-time. She didn't want to tell me as she knew I wouldn't allow it. This all explains why she was suddenly buying all these relatively expensive items. She told me she got the idea when we watched the film about the escort girl a few months ago, and although it was a fictional character, she felt jealous that she could be earning so much more. I just couldn't believe it all this time what she has been doing all because of a stupid film. Then I ask her a big question, have you been sleeping with these clients? She replied yes, which I wasn't surprised with. She then goes on to say how she wants me to forgive her, that she loves me, and that we can fix this. She'll stop working for the agency, and she didn't have sex with every single client. But I had enough. I drove Maria straight to her parents' house and left her there. When I got back home myself, I just sat in the corner of my room in silence, processing the situation. All I could think was, how could such a happy and perfect married life change so drastically in just a couple of months because of some stupid film? After this, there was a lot more talking and working things out, and at the end of it all, me and Maria were divorced. Since then, I have looked after the kids, and Maria moved in with her parents. Every weekend, the boys get picked up and spend the weekend with Maria. Ever since, I have been living a happy single life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.